Now the quickest way to create a form is to use the Instant Form button. In other words, you want to come up here, select the table you want to base your form off of, because remember, queries, forms, and reports, and we'll soon talk about reports, are all linked to a table and pulling data from that table. So after you select the table you'd like to base your form off of, come up here, click on the Create tab, come to the Forms group, and click on the Form button. Automatically generates the form for us, and in fact, it not only generates the form for us, but it dumps us in the Layout view. In fact, if you come to the Views group on its related tab, Contextual tab, the Format tab, to the Views group, click on the View arrow, not the View button here, but the View arrow. You see you have Design View. Layout View just above me is in orange. That's the current view I'm in. And then I have my actual form view. When I click on that, I can actually start interacting with the records. But the reason why it dumps us back into Layout View is because once the form is generated, maybe we want to move these fields around. Maybe this isn't the order we like them. Maybe we want also some of these fields shrunken a little bit so they don't go all the way over to the right, or maybe we want to change the color of the font and so forth, hence the Layout View. Now first of all, this is based on the customer's table, right? So when I come over here and double click on the customer's table, we have customer name, address, city. Well, on the form, when I click on that, it's customer name, address, city. But what's this information down below? Well, this is what's called a subform. If you recall in the earlier training video on subdata sheets, whenever you create a table and you create relationships with other tables, well, usually 99% of the time Microsoft is going to create the link to the other table in what are called, at least in this table, subdata sheets. So we have star temps. We create a relationship to the orders table. If you recall, in the Database Tools tab, we click on the relationships to view those relationships. So we created a link. Customer ID is going to be in this table. It's also going to be in this table. So if the customer ID is 31,200, it'll be 31,200 once, but for many orders, because hopefully the customer is making many orders. Okay, so we know these tables are related. They're linked up. I'm going to go ahead and close out of here. Because they're linked up, when I click on that plus sign, as we discussed in the training video on subdata sheets, it actually, for this customer here, Star Temps, has many orders, or has a couple of orders. Hopefully they have orders. If they don't, then of course this would be blank, but still, it would be linked up that when we do add orders, they're listed below. So I can collapse that, go back to my form view, and that's what it's showing down here. It's saying, look, for this customer, Star Temps, they've got 2 orders. Well, in the customers table, isn't that what we've got when we expand it, 2 orders? Excellent. Go back to the customers view, and you know what? We can delete the subform. We don't need it. It's just a nice little helpful thing that it does in case if you do, you don't have to do it later on. So we make all our changes. Then when we actually want to enter in records or update the records, then we just click on the View button and click on the Form View, or you can click the drop down arrow, and you see it's the same icon here as it is up here. So just click on that button, changes it to Form View. Now I can come down here, and you notice we have 2 record navigation bars. The one furthest at the bottom is going to be the one that's going to take us through the customers. And as you watch, when I click through and I go to the next record, each customer is going to be updated by the different orders or how many orders they've made. So if I go to record 2 of 15, notice Home Builder has a few more records than the previous customer or client. Go to the next one, go to the next one, and at any one time I can come in here and update their name, update the address, add some more orders if they're going to make more orders. And speaking of which, you also have the record navigation bar for your orders within the suborders for this particular client, fall cleaning. So you can click on that and navigate from record to record. Now right now it probably doesn't make any sense, but if you have hundreds of records here, you won't see them all listed here. You'd have to actually scroll down, so you may want to click on the last record button, go all the way down to the end, or click on the first record, go all the way up to the top. Alright, we're going to go ahead and close out of everything here. In fact, just right click and left click on Close All, and we won't save any of it. And let's create another instant form. Well, first let's click on the Create tab and make sure we have the customers table selected. We're going to go to the split form. Now the split form is going to create a form and table view. So let me click on it. Voila, there we go. There's our form view up at the top, and there's the table down below. It's a split view. What that means is first I'm in the layout view, which means it allows me to go ahead and drag my form fields around. Of course, when I come down here, this is a table. It's not the actual form. It just creates a split view. So I can only make changes up here on the actual form itself. Now when I'm ready and I've clicked and dragged these fields around, maybe changed the font, the color of the text, and added maybe some pictures, whatever, in this form view, then I want to go ahead and come up here in the Views group, of course on the Format tab, click on the View button, and now I'm ready to go. I can start editing the records here, or I can edit them down here. I guess you could say it's the best of both worlds. If at times it makes sense to be in the table, well, the table's down below, and you can actually scroll up and down through your records, right? Now the record navigation bar, when you click and go through it, notice how it goes to the second record in the form view, but also how it goes to the third record in the form view and it skips down to the third record in the table. and it highlights it here because that's the field that I'm in. Of course, if I'm in another field and I click next, it stays in that field and it takes me to the next record, 404. So for whatever reason, if you find it more convenient to have both views up, the table for a little bit more structuring here and the form for a little bit more ease of data input, you've got it. You got your split window there. And of course, be sure to save your work. Come up here, click on the Save button. You can type in FRM and say this is my computers, and then just hit Enter on the keyboard. And the reason why I say hit Enter is because any button that's outlined or highlighted or haloed in a color like it is here, the OK button, that means it's active. You just have to hit Enter, and it's like clicking on the OK button. So if I hit Enter, saves it, adds it over here in my Form Objects group here, and then I can go ahead and close out. Let's create another form. So I'm selecting my customers table again, come up to the Create tab. So I'm showing you the very different types of forms you can create. Your basic form, the split form with table and the form view. Now how about multiple items? This will allow us to view multiple records from a table in a form of a spreadsheet. So I click on it, voila, automatically dumps me in layout view. This isn't the form view. Remember, anytime you create a form here using the buttons there, it's going to dump us in layout view because it assumes we want to make some changes here, drag some fields up, down, shrink them. Your imagination's limit here, so to speak. Okay, so again, what this view is that we're viewing multiple records from a table in form of a spreadsheet like Excel. So again, make sure you watch Excel so you can feel comfortable with what we're looking at here. Even so, if you don't feel comfortable with it, you don't have to create these multiple item forms. Okay, so once I change my layout or I don't like it, I hit undo. I can actually come up and click on the View button so I can actually be in the form view where I can update my records. Of course, you've got your navigation record buttons down below. You can click on them and it goes from record to record to record. And then, of course, you'll have to scroll over to the right. So it's more or less just like a table, except again, you can customize this table to either have big open spaces for each record here, a lot of space down below, or you can shrink it up. Okay, I'm not going to save this because we know how to save it. Next, we can just create a simple blank form, and then we can add our fields without them automatically being added for us based on the table. So I selected the customers table. Come up here, click on the Create tab, and just click on the blank form. So select the customers table doesn't do anything. We actually have to add the fields ourselves from the tables. So I'm looking over here on the right hand side, the task pane. It says no fields available to be added to the current view. Go ahead and click on the link here to show all tables. And so here I don't have to select a table like I did over here. This I'm starting completely from scratch. First of all, what view am I in? Am I in the form view, the layout view, the design view? Well, one way to find out is click on the view drop down arrow. You see how layout view has a little orange halo around it? Well, that's what I'm in. So in layout view, I can still go ahead and add my fields from the field list over to the right. Now if you accidentally close out, you're like, oh my gosh, where did it go? No worries. Come up here to its related contextual tab, format tab for your form layout tools. Then come over here to the controls group and click on add existing fields. It pops it back up. And then it's just as simple as finding the table you'd like. Well, actually, let me click on the customers table and then double clicking on the fields there to add them one by one. Customer name, address, city, state. And then of course in here you can actually hover in the center of these fields here, click and drag in the layout view, and either put the state field above the address field, dump it up there, or click and drag it below. There are some limitations that you can do in the layout view versus actually going to your design view. So it's a fairly simplistic way to design your form. It's not like automatically creating a form for you like the other buttons we clicked on, but it's not the actual full design layout that we can get more particular about how we want to structure our form. Which brings me to the final form that we want to create in design view, which will give us more flexibility. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and close out of the form here without saving it. Say no. Come up here, click on the Create tab, and then go to the Forms group again, and then just simply click on the Form Design button. Click on it. Brings up the same field list with the list of all the tables, so we didn't have to select a table over here because it brings up all the tables over here. And then all we have to do is double click on those fields to add them over to the left hand side here, and then as you double click you can actually even click and drag and just dump it down here. So in the layout view you didn't have that flexibility, but here you can click and drag, and you can still click and drag and move these fields around. Select the control box here and then hover over the border of the control box and then click and drag, and it pulls both the label and the control down. And then just have some fun moving them around and structuring the form however you'd like it. We'll go over modifying our forms a little bit more in depth here in the design view in a later training video. But for right now, when it comes to creating forms, you got quite a few options, don't you? On the Create tab, you can do your forms, your split forms with the table view, your multiple items form, which is more of a spreadsheet layout view like a table, a blank form in layout view, and designing your own form in design view. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel, get notified of the latest videos, and for only $2 a month, you can have access to all my Microsoft Office training videos.